Okay, to edit a file with the command line, you can do VI or VIM and the name of the file. I don't think there's much to say about that. When you get done editing the file, the way to save it is if you are in command mode. We'll explain what that is in a second. Hit :WQ or capital ZZ to save and write and quit from your file. If you choose to abandon changes that you've made, then :Q exclamation point will exit the editor without saving anything so that you can get rid of stuff. And what was this deal about if you're in command mode? Well, it's a modal editor. It has 3 different modes. I think I mentioned that. And it's not what I would call a WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG is an acronym for what you see is what you get, and most GUI applications are all about being WYSIWYG as much as possible so that you can see exactly what you're getting and getting what you're seeing. This is not that kind of a tool. Okay? And when you leave the land of WYSIWYG things, it means that basically you have to learn how to use it. It just isn't, oh, I just point and click and something happens. But this also means that when you learn it, you tend to know it really, really well. One of the challenges I have in teaching about Vim is I have used it so long that I no longer know what the commands are. I just think what results I want, and my fingers do something at the trained level, and changes happen. So I tend to not even realize that I'm doing commands, and I'm making commands to make what I want happen in the file. So when you start, you're in command mode generally. I have never seen VI start in insert mode, but I presume there is probably some flag on the command line or something that you can do that if you want to. To get from command mode to insert, you need to do an I, which inserts before, or an A, which inserts after. When you're done inserting, you hit an escape to leave insert mode. Insert mode on most systems, not all, gives you the option of using the arrow keys to move around. I just never do that. Okay, it doesn't do anything for me because the arrow keys are not underneath where I touch type. They require that I move my hand, and consequently I'll do some insert, hit escape, and then I'll use the motion keys that are available for touch typing. And we'll get to what those are. There is also a command line mode in it called the EX mode. Since VI was the visual interface on top of the original EX editor, it didn't leave out anything in the EX editor. So you have all the commands of the EX editor available. Things like substitute, which I've already demonstrated to you with regular expressions. And there is a search mode. The search mode, if you are in command mode, you can type a slash and a regular expression pattern and find things. So you want to move down in the file, you do slash to find things. You want to move up in the file, you do a question mark and a pattern. You want to go to the next thing, you do an N. So that's how you move around looking for things. Normally when I edit, I have line numbers turned on and a few other options that I've set in my home directory.vimrc file. And in the vimrc file, you would find a line that says :set and U to turn on line numbers. The editor is sufficiently powerful that people build entire integrated development environments in it all the time. So it has lots of capabilities and you can install lots of things that are useful. But before we get on to that, let's take a look at how it does line numbers and the EX mode. And I think I've shown you some of this, but let's just go and edit a file. And let's do Vim, the lecture itself. And I did a J key to go down. If I want to go down a half a screen full, I can do Control D. If I want to go down a full screen full, I can do Control F. But if I really want to get to, say, line 58, I can do 58 capital G and go to line 58. If I want to find the next place where it says Y, I can do /WHY and that's Y, and I can do N and go, it says it hit the bottom and it wrapped around to the top to find the next one. I can do at this point question mark and it still has the pattern, just question mark and return, and go the other direction, which is going to hit the bottom and go back up from the bottom searching for that. So if I want to go and find a particular thing and I'm sitting on top of that particular word, I can do a star and I just go to the next instance of it. If I do N, it takes me down to the next one. Finding things, for instance, if I want to go to the E, I can do FE, and then I can do a semicolon to move to each successful E in the file. Okay, if I want to move by words, I can do B, which will move me backwards, or W, which will move me forwardwards. So let's say I take this particular line and I'll just stick it up here where I can edit it. And I'll go word, word, word. I don't want that word. I can do DW. Or I can do 4DW. Okay. And I can remove words. I can go to the end of the line with a $sign. I can go to the beginning of the line with a 0. So I've got lots of capabilities without moving my hands off of the home position in touch typing to move around a line. If I want to get rid of this line, I can do DD. Let's bring that line back and let's make several copies of it. Let's say I want to delete 3 of them. And I made those lines different so that you can see which ones. I've got A, B. So I've got several different versions of the line there so you can see the differences. If I want to delete 3 lines, I can do 3DW. That'll delete words, or 3DD will delete 3 lines. So you can delete and move things quickly. When you delete something, okay, let's take this line out right here that we're working on. I'm going to do DD to delete it, and I want to bring it back. I can use a P to put it. And you notice it has moved 1 line. That has an interesting ramification. If you want to shuffle the order of lines, you can do DDP, 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 and you can shuffle lines down. I do that all the time when I've got to move things around. When I created a blank line right here just now, the way I did that is I had $ and I did A, I inserted and I had an escape. There's also the possibility of just creating a new line with O. If I just want to, let's make this so that we can see it. Okay, and I've hit escape here so that I'm in command mode. If I was in insert mode, you see the insert down at the bottom. If I do O, it will open a new line where I can insert. Now, occasionally you have some combination that you don't like. For instance, I could do 5I, and now when I hit escape, it does that command 5 times, and I get 5 times 3 X's put into my file. So pretty much any command you want to do, you can prefix it with a number to repeat it. One of those things you can do is all the things having to do with EX commands and line numbers. You don't have to use line numbers. There's a marking system too. But let's start with some line numbers. Let's do 60 to 70. And let's substitute our X with, let's replace it with VVV. All right. Now, let's say that I really want to change the middle character of this to a capital X. So I want to use marks to do this, so I'm going to do MA to drop an A mark and MB to drop a B mark at those locations at the top and the bottom. Now I can do quote A, comma, quote B, substitute VVV for VXV. And we'll put in a capital X over that range. Now, one of the things we'd like to be able to do is take a pattern that we match and replace it with, when we replace it, use that pattern. So I can do quote A, quote B, which I'm using my marks, they're still there. and I can do substitute, and let's say that for some reason I don't want to use a comma. I can use some other character, and I want to substitute 3 regular expressions, each a dot, which matches one character. And I want to do, if I do an ampersand, it will replace with the original one. That would be whatever the dots are. And I've taken the pattern and used it in the replacement. So that's how you use marks. And you have marks A through Z. We can also use the marks for things like creating another file. I can say quote A, quote B, write this file out to comma temp. And if I want to switch files, I can do E, comma temp. And I'm now in this other file. So lots of times if you want to shuffle around the order inside your file, you can say, okay, I'm going to take this piece, I'll write it out to this temporary file, this other piece, write it out to this other temporary file, and now I'll read them in a different order. It works really well with messing with multiple files. And you'll notice I did do an EX command in there. I did :E and a different file name. So if you want to change the file name you're in, you can do that. You also have the option of changing directories. We can do CD to some other directory like videos in here and change the current directory that the editor is working in. I'm not actually going to do that at the moment. So we've got lots of commands, and I'm going to go through and show you some of the other commands, but we're going to work from a list. The biggest difficulty most people have with this is learning the movement commands, and that's these first 4 commands, H, J, K, and L. And those are right underneath when you're not in insert mode, and I'm not in insert mode. They're right underneath your fingers, which J goes down to the next line, K goes up to the previous line. If I'm over here, I've done L to move over, and I've used H to move the other direction. So I have movement keys that are right underneath my fingers on my right hand to move around.